Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to the May budget edition of Australian Immigration News. Last night's budget release was a disappointing document when it comes to the migration program, as it is similar to figures of last year. 160,000 places, which includes 79,600 for skill and 77,300 for family stream places. The humanitarian program will have 13,750. Let's take a look at the issues relating to immigration. As expected, based upon the PM's comments last week, border restrictions look set to remain in place until mid-2022, with the exception of a limited number of international students, maybe later this year. The policy announced last night stated, "This policy ensures that migration will focus on those who are already in Australia and in particular those partner applications which are still yet to be finalised." This is good news for the partner visa applicants, and we'll talk about migration quotas and partner visas later. It is also good news for those who are in Australia working or studying, for we hope the larger quota will be given to the state and territories for the sponsored 491 and 190 visas. Of course, it's bad news for those looking to migrate to Australia using the 189 and 190 or 491 applications. It is expected that the federal government will give the directive to the state and territories not to offer sponsorship to offshore applicants for the next 12 months. The Immigration Department has already relaxed the 20 hours per week limitation on international students studying in certain sectors, but they now have expanded the areas to include hospitality and tourism. The current list of sectors are employed by an aged care approved provider or Commonwealth-funded aged care service provider with a RACSID or NAPSID before the 8th of September 2020. Employed by a registered National Disability Insurance Scheme provider, enrolled in a health care-related course, and you are supporting the health effort against COVID-19 as directed by the health officials, employed in the agricultural sector, and now employed in the tourism and hospitality sector. While this may provide a short-term benefit to those visa holders, there is nothing to indicate any benefits in terms of providing them a visa pathway to permanent residency. Kuljinder Sandhu posted a comment on our Facebook page regarding these changes. "What a shameful attitude. You may die working here, but sorry, we won't give you residency." I think that about sums up correctly how most of the temporary residents feels about this government's attitude. This offer of unrestricted work rights is a self-serving shallow gesture to meet Australian needs but not really offering anything in return. However, is that surprising from a government who locks out its citizens and permanent residents from their own country? What is the future of the 189 visa then? Once the flagship of the fleet, it is now reduced to a rusting barge picking up a few passengers who have occupations the government desperately needs. The 189 visa is now mainly used to secure permanent residence for New Zealanders. However, the irony of this is that they can stay in Australia forever anyway without ever having to make a visa application. For everyone else, we can expect the 189 visa will remain in manual mode only for the next 12 months, with a limited invitation rounds every quarter for a lucky few. The department has the ability to use the 189 invitation process to exclude offshore residents. However, it is uncertain they will take this option. Most of the hope then for temporary residents in Australia looking for a migration outcome will rest with the state and territory sponsored programs. We can expect the quotas for the regions will increase, but to what levels is yet to be seen. With a larger quota to work with, the states with restricted occupation lists will be able to expand them. With all the talk of cooks, chefs and restaurant managers being in short supply around the country, we can't help but wonder why South Australia removed those occupations and then placed them back on, but imposed a heavier requirements to meet. Perhaps many people in South Australia don't eat out. We will learn more about the allocations of the numbers of these programs leading up to the end of June. Employer-sponsored visas. This program will continue business as usual, and those applicants who are on the PMSOL list will continue to get the red carpet ride into Australia also. Again, there seems to be little awareness in the general media that this talk of border closures is not really being applied equally to everybody. The 482 visa for offshore applicants are still being granted to those on the priority list, and they seem to have no trouble in getting flights into Australia, which is great for them and the sponsoring business. However, I can understand the resentment and frustration for many students who cannot get in to finish their courses, and all those other temporary resident visa holders out there who are locked out. The Global Talent Visa. With all of this talk of restricted entry to Australia, it hasn't stopped the Global Talent successful applicants gaining their permanent residency and flying into the country. While all of those poor people outside stuck on their temporary resident visas, many with their belongings still in Australia, the Global Talent red carpet will still be out there to give them an expressed entry. There's also talk of a new temporary resident visa called the Beachhead Visa to allow support workers of these business-oriented global talent high flyers. Australia has been for many years seen as a safe haven from the troubles of the rest of the world ever since the 9/11 attacks in the US. After this sad event, the interest in Australia as a migration destination went through the roof. The same will happen after the pandemic dies down, and the rest of the world will see how lucky we've been to escape it relatively unscathed. Even for those on temporary resident visas in Australia, they too are thankful for the policies of the government that have kept them safe. However, we feel that the priorities of giving some an express ticket to Australia over others who were here first but are now caught overseas is a mean-spirited approach. There also needs to be a debate of why spouse applications should even be a part of the migration intake numbers at all. It is a fundamental right for all citizens and permanent residents of Australia to bring their partners to join them in this country. It should not even be subject to quotas or slowed down in processing. Since the government has already pocketed the nearly $8,000 for the procedure, one should expect an express path first-class customer service approach. If you then take partners out of the migration allocations, more places will be given to skilled workers Australia so desperately needs. To strangle the skilled migration program by including the partners' figures into the total allocations seems counterproductive to Australia's best interest. Thanks for joining me, and as always, take care out there, and I will see you next time. So bye for now.